inspired you to create a constellation-themed space like this, and obviously with the name and everything? What inspired all of that?
It all didn't come at one time. It kind of just all came to me like as the project started, one after another. Obviously, like as a creative, you wake up at 3 a.m. and either jot down on your notepad or your phone and your notes. And one night, I just thought that we need to be doing 12, and it needs to, play into the spirituality of the land. And we were creating these temples, dome style, temple villa units, inspired by Spanish Gothic. I guess you'd call it neo-Gothic these days. It kind of just targets the mid-18th century, 19th century. I just basically one of those nights woke up and I was like, you know what, I need to put constellations in the ceilings and, obviously try to outsource some little solar panels that are the size of your maybe palm in some way, and we could use those to electrify some like really warm amber lighting that would come on, very faintly, maybe like similar to like a 3-watt light bulb or something that isn't obnoxious, but it's more of a night light once the sun goes down at, say, 5:30 in the fall time and 8 p.m. At night. So when you come in from your event or wherever you've been, there's a little bit of a light going on in the interior, but nothing too intrusive. But yeah, it was just more of, as the weeks went on and as I was on the property working, things come to you.
So had you already kind of settled on like having 12 domiciles before you realized that it would be a perfect fit?
No, good question. I think we were more on like 9, 10 with the treehouse, and then when we started having conversations with hotel operators in the boutique space, we soon found out that the way they make money is putting heads in bed. So we definitely needed to add a few more, but without breaking the bank. And during that same time is pretty much when I started thinking about the constellations and how each one needs to kind of play into, the birth sign in particular. When we had a verbal agreement with the hotel operator that we are in talks with now, they made it known that they need to see at least 50 more units go into the space, and without taking away from the Heavens brand itself, we agreed that we would, as soon as this one is finished, we would produce a 50-unit hotel on the frontage of the highway. So they were excited about that we were able to kind of, collectively work together and meeting their goals without compromising the uniqueness of the Heavens space.
Well, good thing there's thousands of star systems you can choose names from if you need to, eh?
Yeah, correct. But at the same time, we don't want to pull from the brand. We definitely want to preserve the brand as much as possible. And if we do, create other heavens in other areas, it would probably be in either different countries or maybe one in another state.
Yeah, and I guess another thing that I've kind of realized was that with your stained glass work, it kind of gave you a pretty easy, outlet for how to, answer the question of how to design each piece and kind of tailor it to the theme of each dome. Is there anything else about the stained glass designs that you think is worth mentioning?
I'd love to say yes, but I kind of take things day by day. I do a lot of research with sacred geometry and just kind of really hone in on what's gone on in our native lands and the colonization and the inspiration between the Spanish and the French and in relation to Latin Europe countries. and kind of focus on the architecture and the cathedrals that utilize the same type of style windows, and kind of gain inspiration off of them, and try to pay homage as much as possible to those designs and the uniqueness. I really do use those windows that were made 300 years ago as inspiration for each unit.
Yeah, I know with a little bit I know about your family history, it's definitely an expression, an artistic expression, as well as paying homage to our cultural history.
Correct. Yeah, we were here predated Texas Revolution. My family fought in the Spanish-Mexican War. A couple uncles fought in the Confederacy. We have native lands still in the Rio Grande that are in our family, in my mom's family in particular. And yeah, I kind of just let the soul, if you will, and kind of guide me in this whole project for sure, while still keeping different religions, different beliefs, whether it's Allah or whether it's God or your God, whatever. I try not to favor anyone, and I use each style, whether it's a mosque or it's a temple or it's a Catholic church, and I kind of incorporate all those really cool archways and architectural designs right here in Cedar Creek, Texas.
Excellent. So how does the eco-luxury aspect of your resort set it apart from traditional hotels, and what sustainable practices are you planning to incorporate into the design and the operations?
Well, right off the bat, we create the blocks here from scratch. We call in the local Portland cement manufacturer. We have trucks delivered, pallets upon pallets, and we use 7 generations of dish soap, and we create this aircrete. And we don't use any types of nails, we don't use screws, we don't use lumber, we don't use drywall, there's no texture, mud, paint, none of that stuff. It's concrete and dirt and sand from this area. And furthermore, we incorporate solar panels on top of our carports and push solar, which will be about 90% of the power usage here. I'm not completely sold on the whole solar, program, so I'm taking that with a grain of salt and trying to offset, the insulation aspects with regards to the aircrete. Already it's 3 times the insulation that you would have in your traditional spec home or your traditional, track home. So if, let's just say it's 100 degrees outside, you have no windows or doors, and we're sitting in one as we speak, and it's always 20 degrees, either cooler or hotter, depending on what season you're in. So if it's 100 degrees outside, if you walk in a dome, it's 80. If it's 30 degrees outside, you walk in a dome, it's 50 to 60 degrees. It take forever to kind of shift degrees in either direction. So that by itself, just building with unique insulated material is a huge advantage.
Awesome. And you'd mentioned Valencia Hotel Group as the operating manager here. How do you kind of envision their involvement in enhancing the overall guest experience and the management of the resort?
I've toured some of their hotels, and the one that I really like the best, that kind of fits in terms of the hospitality aspect, is the Valencia Hotel in San Antonio. There is white tablecloth, that's not really my vibe, but in terms of customer service and the expectation of this particular project, we will have a lot of high net worth individuals staying here that are going to either NASCAR, Formula One, any of the shows that are just right down the street at Coda. We do have Tesla right down the street, so we could definitely do like team building meetings with all those guys, and most of those individuals are used to a higher premium type of venue and experience. So we don't want to shoot, for the floor. We're definitely shooting for the stars here. So I think Valencia Hotel Group has a long track record of success and profits associated. So for right now, they seem to be the right fit for us.
Yeah, so they have a standard of excellence that kind of mirrors your own.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome. And maybe could you elaborate on the distinctive features of the villas with, like, say, the 2-story layouts, the bridges, rooftops, hot tubs, and any other features you're planning to incorporate to create a unique overall experience?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, so they're wanting you to elaborate on the distinct features of the villas, such as 2-story layouts, bridges, rooftops, hot tubs, and any other features that would contribute to the overall kind of uniqueness.
Sure. One thing I definitely pride myself on is taking on a challenge and jumping with 2 feet and figuring it out, as we go. This whole project, no one has ever done before, ever, since we've been alive. This would be the first one in the United States. I know there's a similar one in Bali, there's a similar one in Latin America, or South America, but they're a cookie cutter, and so what's unique about these domes in particular are everyone's different. Everyone is completely not unique to, or it's unique to its own. So in regards to doing the 2nd-story one in particular, the hotel group made it very clear that this whole thing needs to be accessible by wheelchairs. So we're putting an elevator in it, so that whole installation is definitely going to be a challenge for me. I've never physically installed an elevator, but I'm definitely up for the challenge. And then creating, these archways and the Spanish arches that are associated of a very old, unique architecture, and then bringing in something that's obviously in 2023 that needs to be incorporated in that no matter what in this architectural style is definitely fun and a challenge. But as we move on to each dome, everything is definitely going to be a different floor space, a different ceiling height, a different radius in regards to the domes in themselves. Some will have backyards, some won't have backyards, some will have natural jacuzzis, some won't have them. And yeah, everyone will be unique in its own right.
Definitely feels like it'll keep people coming back if they want to try the different features from the different domes.
Correct.
And installing an elevator into a 2-story dome might also be a first ever in human history.
Yeah, no, for sure. That one in particular is getting a grand piano as well. That one, we really want to kind of focus on artists that are touring, that are staying here, that are playing in Austin. They don't really want to, commingle within the grounds that they're playing during the day or the day before. Some come in 3 days before, before their show. So it's a retreat, kind of paying homage to them and creating a really spiritual, sacred space within, a cityscape. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump, in a thriving city such as Austin.
I think no matter how luxurious a hotel is, from an artist's perspective, they all probably seem the same.
Yeah, 100%. They're cookie cutter. You got square door jambs. You got square edges. The days of the W Hotel or any type of Starwood boutique hotel or that nature is kind of, as far as I'm concerned, is on the way out, and more boutique, very intimate, very mom and pop, special stays is definitely the future, in my future, and how I would expect my community or a group of friends would kind of be moving in that direction.
It's awesome. Yeah, keep your artists happy. Keep them excited to come back to Austin.
Amen.
Let's see. So there's a 200,000 gallon natural recreational pool being talked about here. I actually got to see the progress on that, and it's breathtaking. How is it designed to enhance the guest's leisure experience, and what makes it different from your typical hotel pool?
Well, for one, it's a natural pool, so the water is going to be very, very oxygenated, electrified. It's going to be, living, breathing water, the way water is, meant to be in pools, or that humans, that are swimming within, their own pools. We should definitely have no chlorine. I like the saltwater vibe, but at the same time, I want to, kind of keep a reserve, if you will, for the wildlife, because if you come around early mornings, you'll see deer out here, eating from the grass or eating, from just the surroundings, and definitely would love, to kind of give them a good little pond to drink from. At the same time, just this unique oasis that is unparalleled around here, and definitely will be the largest swimming pool in Austin in terms of resort pools. So we definitely wanted to have some space and utilize the space that we have here in Texas as much as possible to give everyone, so everyone gets spread out. I grew up in Southern California in particular, and if you go to any of those, any pool that is pulling anybody, there, it's kind of a septic situation. It's not a good look. So definitely I wanted it to really focus on the special, unique landscape. And, as you can see, I dug into a 30-foot hill to create that waterfall. And just living water and hearing that as human beings completely change our mindset. We actually recharge as if similar to stones recharge, and when it's a full moon, humans need that reset and that recharge, and that's kind of what I'm focusing on.
Yeah, in such a technological society, it's just how we're kind of electrically connected to the earth, and yet these high-rise hotels have you suspended, completely disconnected from the planet. It's I think there's untold benefits from not only being in a structure like this, but actually a water feature like that. It's amazing.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, with those hotels, you feel like you're completely uprooted, and the higher you go, that route's now cut off, and you're just this being that's just there. You're not connected, you're not grounding, you're not anything. So, it's just playing, let the land kind of speaking, to our souls, and we couldn't just go with an architect or an engineer and just get a map and just plat it over the landscape. I definitely let each unit, each tree and each space kind of talk to me, individually, and that's kind of how we've been moving about this whole project. Is literally one foot in front of the other, and there is no rules, there is no regulations, there's no right or wrong. It's all right as long as it's speaking to you and you're responding.
Adapt and overcome. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, definitely taking more risk with that approach, but I just am floored by how well it all comes together. It takes a great mind to do that. So kudos.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely have severed a lot of relationships, just completely been engulfed and involved in this project. This is definitely my life, and my wife at the same time.
Yeah, it shows. Well, to be fair, it looks like a thriving relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you mentioned this, but if you want to elaborate, as close as you are to Circuit of the Americas, knowing what kind of crowd that draws out to Austin, and nobody has really capitalized on that yet. So really, how do you feel about the proximity and being able to magnetize some of those more diverse types of guests out to this area.
Yeah, well, the marketing in itself will speak to that client that is gonna really want to be here and stay with us. I know it's not for everyone, and that's what's so unique about 12 rooms. It's not really a hard sell. The last thing we want to do is hard sell anyone. It's either you get it or you don't. We're okay if you don't, you know. It's because obviously the Formula One crowd is definitely, it's more of an NFL tailgater, so I could tell you right off the bat, that's not our crowd. But there are people that are looking for something else, and I think as humans evolve, naturally you just feel a sense of emptiness, and you're always searching. And I feel like if that person does take a leap of faith and come stay with us, they'll be changed forever, and we'll always remember this place. And just like you said, they'll probably want to come out and try out at one of the other spaces, and so on and so forth. And hopefully we'll be in their hotel rotation a few times a year.
Definitely. I feel like at a certain point of wealth, like I said, it does seem like you've ridden in one yacht, you've ridden in them all at a certain point, and
right.
This is going to kind of merge the luxury world with also an exotic component that some of these people could never pay enough money to find, because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm very excited to see.
Yeah. Thank you.
In what ways will the Heavens cater to different events like weddings, retreats, corporate gatherings, and what facilities or services will be tailored for these types of occasions?
So the Heavens in particular will just be the pool, juice bar, and the yoga lawn, and obviously the gardens. In terms of room service, will be, it's a farm to fork type of amenity here. But in terms of event space and like corporate bookings and buyouts, and let's just say weddings, that will be the restaurant managing partner that'll handle all those types of events. We don't want to cross brand and kind of jeopardize our focus here at the Heavens with those types of events. So if anyone's going to inquire about a wedding and want to do a wedding here, it'll be a complete buyout, and there won't be any type of marketing visible to the general public. It'll all be a sub promoter, sub booking of the restaurant, and a buyout of the hotel, and that's kind of how that's going to work with the talent bookings and the live music and such, so on and so forth. We're really focused on just keeping the brand, our baby, and not allowing events that aren't like-minded or aren't a good fit for the space to really happen here.
Which you have a pretty expansive network as it is, so that's not really as much of an issue. Yeah. I think once the general public sees the space, and we host the press here, and the people that kind of are in the health and wellness space, I think just word of mouth by itself will do a tremendous. It'll be a tremendous plus for us for sure, and not a hard sell. I mean, the last thing any of us would want to do is try to do ads or anything like that and try to push it in front of your face, which that's not who we are. Yeah, I could see as far as the buyout aspect goes, for someone just really having control over the space and your facilities, including the restaurant, juice bar, the bar itself, cafe, would be really appealing to corporate events and weddings alike. And so that's not I could see that really being appealing to be able to come in and basically have control over the space for a period of time.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And on that note, care to elaborate on the farm to table concept in the restaurant and the gardens, and how that will play out, with the culinary aspect as well as just the guest experience?
Yeah, sure. I own a restaurant with a few partners out in Southern California, and a part of that whole movement was to create a healthier alternative to what was out in our neighborhoods. And if you back 5 years ago, if you would have basically walked 100 feet any direction, you're eating at a Mexican food spot, and there wasn't really any diversity. So I got to learn a lot about health and the GMOs and different distributors, and obviously organic produce and no hormones, et cetera, et cetera. So when I moved to Austin to take this project on, I learned. I mean, the scene here, the foodie scene here, is on steroids. Like I've never seen anywhere at all, except for like maybe Barcelona or some major city that's not around here. There's just so much diversity here, and it's definitely I could see it being a tough game for any type of cook or chef or anyone that has inspiration. It's just on a whole nother level. That being said, I was learning, about the farm to table scene, and there was a handful of restaurants that were claiming farm to table, but like I always do, I have to deep dive into it, and I'm going out the back doors and I'm looking and there's no gardens around, and I'm like, wait a minute, how are they saying farm to table? Where's the gardens?
Oh, the tomatoes.
I'm like, what's going on here? And then like down to the next one, and like I really started paying attention to the farm to table scene, but no one had a garden, no one had a farm anywhere. And then I start asking, the owners, and what's up with the produce? Like, where's your farm? And then next thing you know, that's like a handful of distributors that are selling from their farms that are obviously delivering, on the weekly. So that kind of turned me off because I felt like it was a bit of a false advertisement. And, I pride myself on authenticity and uniqueness, and I want to try to just stay like, have as much integrity as possible in my projects. So obviously everything I've come to know, today and while being here, it just like inspired me. We need to have 6 gardens minimum. We need to be able to do, seasonal daily menus with a chef. We need to have at least, 25 to 30 chickens on site to be able to facilitate the spirit program, and obviously the breakfast, and the eggs need to be coming from the ranch. The broccoli needs to come from the ranch. The kale needs to come from the ranch. Everything that's on that menu has to come from the ranch. And maybe we can compromise some integrity here and there when things sell out, or we just simply switch the menu, or it's struck off the menu for the week or the day. But no, we're definitely gonna focus on the integrity here and really producing sustainable gardens that are able to facilitate our menus.
Well, I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen what you've already done. But yeah, maybe legumes will be one of those things.
Yeah, we're all ears.
Might outsource on some legumes, but
awesome.
Yeah, I could easily see you pulling that off just because of the resourcefulness that you've already kind of demonstrated here. The stubborn, willful approach that you have to your vision kind of implies that you're not bluffing here.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. So let's see. How do you see the resort contributing to the local community, both economically and culturally? Considering its unique offerings in an area with a noticeable absence of similar establishments.
Can you repeat that? I was looking at this gnat and my mind completely just
yeah,
or mosquito, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, gnat's been bugging me. It's been bugging me too.
One more time.
I said, how could you see it contributing to the local community economically and culturally, basically?
Oh, yeah. So in terms of local community, some of our laborers live right across the way. One of our neighbors is now an investor here. He helped me build the pool and dig the pool, and definitely, donated his resources in more of like a trade type of scenario, which is something like is unheard of in California. And, the gentleman's name's Eli, and we owe so much to him. But yeah, so he definitely has a good labor force. He's a GC, and we were able to kind of just work great together. He respected what we were doing. He was blown away, and he just kept coming over every day we were working, and just like, how do I be a part of this? Like, I love what you guys are doing. And literally every day he would stop and, bring us something or crack some jokes, and he just, his vibe was something that we couldn't ignore any longer. And I kind of just started asking what type of tools he had and what his specialties were. And so yeah, he has the ranch right across the way. And in terms of like the local food courts that are like 5 miles down the way, I've had anywhere between 10 to 15 employees in one day, so everyone breaks, and we kind of contribute in that way. So we're bringing obviously money to the local vendors. I've got my tires changed at the local tire shop, and everyone that I bring here is definitely kind of like I don't want to say a prisoner, but they're here, and once you're out here, you're out here. So it's like you have to basically default to the local community for all your shopping needs and such.
Yeah, and then culturally, I think that's almost apparent for anyone who's visited the area, which I'm from. It's I think it's almost self-explanatory how there is no other than Coda, which is, you're talking about creating an intimate setting for people to actually feel like there's not a big fence and a bunch of bouncers between them and the artist, and actually a lot more room for inspiration, I would say.
Correct. Yeah, it's definitely a balance, because I just hosted a retreat here for 10 days. Well, I had guys here for 15 days, 30 something people here, and on top of that we had the chefs. So me in particular, I don't know if this means anything to anybody, but I'm a Virgo, and the more and more I read about like my personality in that regard, it's like we need our alone time, we need our like getaways, we need them now when we need them, or we're shut down, or you might, I don't want to say see a fist, but definitely see a different side of it, you know what I mean? But yeah, so when you're going to these events and they're loud and there's thousands of people, literally hundreds of thousands of people in this space, like it's nothing like it, to be able to break away, just a hop, skip, and a jump away, and now you're here and you see cardinals and you see porcupines and you see, deer and obviously coral snakes and rattlesnakes and boar, so on and so forth, and it's literally just right there. So we're the only hotel within 5 miles from there. If you did a 17-mile radius from where we're standing, there's not one sit-down restaurant or not one hotel between here and the airport and here in Coda. So we're pretty excited that my cousin David picked this thing up 20 years ago, and we're able to work it out.
And that's awesome. Yeah, as far as the local community is concerned, there's definitely a bleed over from, even though maybe some more travelers will be here. Like I said, I actually found out about you because I live nearby, and so there's always going to be people who are going to gravitate towards what you're doing, and then that tends to trickle out to how they do their own events, even elsewhere or here. And of course, there will be, from what you've said, there will be local buyouts and local events here also.
For sure. I mean, the tech community is here now. It's like the tech capital of the world. It's the live music capital of the world. It's the foodie scene is like, I'm surprised if it's not like top 3 in the country. And then, you have Coda, which is building one of the largest amusement parks in the country, if not the world. It's supposed to surpass Disneyland and Magic Mountain. So I know there's a lot of opportunity coming this way. And that's kind of where the 50-unit hotel comes in to kind of just, facilitate that whole demographic. We definitely don't want kids around at all. This is more an adult space. And yeah.
Awesome. And could you share any insight into the investors deck, and highlighting the vision, projections, and the financial aspects of the project?
Yeah, basically, we've there's this site called the Star Report. Sorry, CASP is in the music talent buying. It's a Star Report which the developers and hoteliers use. Basically, they pick your meets and bounds and your locations and find how would a hotel of this nature do in this market, and that program kind of runs all your analytics and such, and kind of spits you out a comprehensive report that just shows the success rate of a luxury hotel or of that nature. The hotel group conducted a study and showed their study trumped mine already from the business plan. I was at 30%. I already know I could do a certain number, but I went to 30% of that number. Well, they went to my original number, and they said it was 30% of what they can do. So the fact that we're both at 30% in our heads, and now with that operating partner being able to take on and basically say we'll be sold out the first year before we even open, it's definitely a good feeling, and we feel like we're on the right track.
Awesome. And do you want to give any specifics about that, about the actual numbers or?
Sure. I mean, anyone that's interested in investing, they have us at about $5 million for the first year, and going up to almost $7 million the second year, and north of $8 million the third year. The reason for the third year hike is because the 50-unit hotel on the front of the 20 acres will be open and thriving at that moment. And since we have a restaurant here, it's more of a shooting fish in a barrel type of aspect rather than just being a standalone restaurant and not having anyone but 12 people, 12 couples or so what have you on site. That's just enough to kind of just break even. But to really do some damage and book weddings, you definitely need a hotel that could handle the wedding party along with the guests. So the third year is going to be a banner year for sure. And again, the fact that they're hitting my numbers, my forecasted numbers, tripling them right off the bat, and that's their conservative number based off the Star Report, is huge to me and all the partners involved.
Awesome. And do you want to plug the website or anything like that?
Yeah, you could visit us at theheavensatx.com. We have a little splash page and some photos of the progress on there that we kind of update maybe every other month. I'll probably update it at the end of this month. But yeah, there's also an investment opportunity link there that, if anyone's interested, they could visit that, and we'll usually respond within a few days. And the one handling those client relations is Dan Mages. And he's great at what he does. So yeah,
there you go. Get it while it's hot. All right. And what challenges do you anticipate in operating a boutique resort in a remote yet desirable location?
The challenges, simply just visibility, getting it in front of people's face, which, we started working with the publicist just recently, and from the looks of it, it's not going to be a hard sell to get this project in front of the locals and international clientele's eyes. Our managing partner has a huge extensive list of high net worth individuals that they'll already be selling this place out again a year before we even open, so we don't even need any press. I think the whole first year the website's going to say sold out with a calendar for the following year for dates that will be open. So I think as long as we keep it's sold out for minimum of 6 months in advance, that just kind of keeps the trajectory on the right path at that point.
Totally, yeah, for sure. Word of mouth in this area is, and especially among, I think
the artist community.
The snowball effect is definitely a real thing. Okay, and then with the potential expansion of the 50-unit hotel in phase 2, what additional features or experiences do you envision for the next stage?
It'll be a 2-story like motel. I don't want to say dated, but as a child, there was a show called Melrose Place. So you had a pool in the middle, and that's kind of what I'm going to do is offset some domes, and the topography will probably drop a good 30 feet. So every, let's say 20 feet, the stream and the pool in the middle it'll be a waterfall situation, opening up to a big pool in the center, and then tapering off to more stream, and then another pool. So it'll be like 2 medium-sized pools, not even close to what we have here at the Heavens. But it's just going to be more of a side-by-side terrain topography, dipping in, dipping out, some bridges that cross from one side to the other, like on a Japanese style architecture vibe. And we're just definitely not going to do, the 17 to 20 foot ceilings, and we're definitely not going to do the intricate floor plans and all the handmade furnishings and everything that you see here. We'll probably use more of a commercial approach to that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but as far as the features and everything, I'm sure you'll be able to put your artistic touch.
Correct. When you see the exterior, it's going to look very similar, but everything's 2-story. There'll be a lot of atriums and balconies, spread out balconies. So that's not something that you're going to have here at the Heavens.
Are you still going to have kind of a garden vibe to match that Japanese pool area?
We'll definitely do botanical gardens and try to keep as much natural landscape there. And there are a few nurseries that pay homage to natural, the native plants. So we'll probably bring in some more native plants to keep it super dense. The last thing I want is to clear out, too much land or too many trees or whatever. I definitely want a density level of to how it exists now, or if not more.
Awesome. All right, and then how do you plan to incorporate technology and innovation into the guest experience? I know you had mentioned doing some solar installations, but how do you incorporate technology while maintaining the serene and natural ambiance?
Good question. Glad you asked that. Simple answer: we aren't. It's just going to be solar, and I'm not sold on that whole situation. So there won't be any TVs in the rooms. They'll just be natural light, as I stated before. I'm trying not to do the LED bulbs. I'm trying to outsource bulbs, like the real vintage bulbs. So there is no type of Wi-Fi or anything kind of continuing through these rooms. I want them very, very insulated, and with concrete. As you can see now, our phones barely even work in here at all. So I want to keep the EMF portion at a very, very, very minimum, almost non-existent. Especially with the gardens being right outside your windows, and we'll be playing Bach and Beethoven and stuff to the gardens to make sure we maximize their capabilities. So as far as technology, it'll be a speaker, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, with the service in the area is great, so it's not like you don't have high-speed internet within 5 feet of where you're laying down if you need to make a call or check.
Correct. If you need Wi-Fi, you can go to the restaurant, and that's kind of the distinct umbilical cord break between the resort and the restaurant. You know what I mean? You can go over there for that stuff, but anywhere here on the Heavens property, you're not going to have any type of EMF.
Which is literally, I would say,
about 100-something feet away.
150 feet to a high-speed internet Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you can get it in the bar there, for sure.
Yeah, but you're coming here to actually take a moment and disconnect the noise.
100%. So if you absolutely have to, you can go to the bar.
Yeah, if you want to go to a resort and scroll on Twitter, maybe...
Not for you.
Go to a different resort, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, man, I love it. Okay, and then... Given with the focus on luxury and uniqueness, how do you plan to create a personalized, memorable experience for guests during the stay?
Well, the hotel operator explained to us that they will treat this as one big art exhibit. So they are going to train their staff to basically host the guest and go through, different trailways and possibly even different rooms and kind of show them the exhibit, if you will. And there'll be placards of what window gave me the inspiration, or the inspiration for the dome, or even the birth sign, and just the overall aesthetic for that particular unit. We're calling them villas. And they're also going to do a coffee table hardcover book of this whole entire build from beginning to end. And each person that books a room will walk away with a coffee table book. So
a little souvenir, little hardcover souvenir there. Wow.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Really cool to think that everyone that works here will be able to take a little bit of pride in what they're a part of too, and kind of I think that definitely makes the experience more memorable in itself.
Yeah.
Okay, and then lastly, in what ways will the resort engage with and contribute to the local art and culture scene, considering the setting?
Yeah, another good question. For me, like the art element is first and foremost, and the culture out here. It's unfortunate what's happening to Austin. At the same time, it's a good thing for a lot of people, and it's not such a good thing for the artist community that lives there, that's been playing there for decades and kind of getting pushed out, kind of similar to the 80s and 90s of what happened in San Francisco. Everybody from Ashbury and that whole art scene had to either go to Oakland or they had to go north to Seattle. And that's kind of happening here. So the way I envision Cedar Creek to Austin, which is across the street, is still East Austin. It's just literally a stone's throw. So with the way I see this whole area in terms of geography and the arts, it'll be like the next Laurel Canyon to Hollywood, basically, where all the artists kind of live in this little community, and everyone, we all have our little ambassador program for artists to come here and play, whether it's at the garden and they're just going to host a meet and greet of their own and just get the sign off from, us or you or whoever's actually handling that program. We're definitely going to be, paying homage and our respects to that community, because again, rent in Austin is just as expensive, if not more, from where I'm from, in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, California. And it's just not sustainable for them. So Cedar Creek, just the other day I heard Elon Musk and Joe Rogan talking about the best sushi bar that Joe Rogan's ever eaten at. It's in Cedar Creek, and to hear him say that, it was just like, whoa, so he gets it, and he's definitely coming out here, and there's a Michelin star sushi chef that's out here, and I've been here for 2 years now, and he just got out there less than a year ago. So I could really see this place flourishing with the new art scene for Austin, Texas.
Yeah, funny you would mention that. It's not relevant to this, but I have been a part of the Austin art scene since about 2011, and I just bought land out here and moved out here because it was the move. It was clearly the move.
100%. You can't go west.
And then I met you, and I was like, oh, there are
other people out here. Yeah. You can't go west. You got Fredericksburg, you got all Lake Travis, you got Lake Austin, and that's just not our vibe. It's not like where we fit in, and we need back where I'm from. I created a bar a little over 10 years ago called Casa. It was the first bar where my security guard just saying, I just checked in, someone from Dana Point, someone from Laguna. So people were driving, 30 minutes to this rundown side of West Costa Mesa that was very similar to East Austin was 15 years ago. So if you can imagine that, that's exactly how the city is where I'm from. Anyways, so to see that and kind of been a part of that whole movement, now it's gentrified and there's, you know, a ton of restaurants in the area now. I just kind of came out here, I felt like it was more of a graduation, and we could start it with, you know, instead of a 40 cap bar, I'm gonna start it with a 20-acre ranch, and I've always wanted to own a hotel, so yeah, it's kind of where the inspiration came from, and yeah, I know it's one of those things where you build it, they will come.
Definitely. Yeah, as much as there is a lot of land purchases happening in the area right now, but I guess, you know, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, it's really, like you say, cut and paste type of attitude, you know, people trying to capitalize on CODA and future plans there, but not really bringing much unique yet. And so it's really refreshing to see a project like this going up, and I definitely think there will be more like you, especially just being inspired to see this area is still very much affordable, and there's still plenty of land out here, so it would be nice to see
for sure
a little, maybe this could be the heart of something that you know,
something
could
major.
be a little bit of a refuge for our creative community.
100%. Yeah, that's kind of the whole, you know, the dream behind this whole thing is, if you're an artist, this is definitely your home. You're not going to pay the same rates. You're not going to, you know, there'll definitely be a program for you in the bar and in the taco. We're planning on doing a breakfast taco juice bar on the frontage, and you know, people that are actually willing to make the hop, skip, and the jump out here, there'll be benefits for them for sure.
Excellent, man. Yeah, just really grateful to have found you in this project, and really just excited to be here from the ground up.
Thank you.
You know,
same
see
goes to you.
see it grow, man. So
for sure. No, we're excited to just keep making the artist connections and building the community. 100%.
Awesome. All right. Well, it was excellent getting to talk to you, and wish you the absolute best of luck.
Yeah,
with all
thank
this.
you. Yeah.
Not that you need it.
Appreciate it.
All right.
do